Good morning, everybody. I think we'll have a coffee and then we'll talk about the boat.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way.
It's been quite some time since my last video about the Duracraft. We did do a lot of work on it to get it in the water. We had a lot of fun. We've used it quite a lot. Unfortunately, the Sea Star has taken a bit of a back seat, and we haven't worked on that one for probably a year, which is unfortunate. But I do intend to paint it this year in 2026 if all goes to plan. I'll still be using the Duracraft, or we'll be using the Duracraft, but we will be working on the Sea Star as well. So this video is really just a record of what we did. There's a lot of still pictures in it as well. I have this problem where I start a job and I don't set up the cameras, and then I realize I've done a whole day's work and I haven't filmed anything. So some of it is video, but the majority of it are just still pictures as we advanced with the rebuild. This was the day we went to look at the boat. It was undercover in a shed, which was great because it was a very hot and sunny day. Nothing was known about the engine, but we were told it had been in a flood, causing much of the damage. So here it is, the Duracraft boat we just picked up. Looks in reasonable shape. Haven't looked at the floor too much. It looked pretty good from what I could see. It's 1965 aluminium with a 45 horsepower West Bend on it. The trailer looks pretty good. I made a little light board there just in case the lights didn't work, which of course they didn't. Well, there it is. After we got it home and got it in the garage, then I started to look at it properly. It's always much easier when you're at home doing it. As you can see, there was a lot of nasty stuff under the floorboards in the stern, and also you could see where there was a water line where it had been in a flood. The reason the windscreen was broken like this was that it was in a river, and there was a flood on the river, and actually it was in a boathouse. And as the water came up, the eaves of the boathouse actually hit the windscreen and damaged the windscreen and tipped the boat over on its side. After looking at the floorboards, it was obvious it needed to be lifted up. There were a lot of rusted screws holding it down, making what should have been a simple task very difficult. I took photographs of everything during the teardown, but somehow along the line I lost them all. So I had about 35 photographs underneath the boat here that I was doing, and they disappeared. So it's always good to get a little bit of encouragement here, so I thought I would see if any of the electrics worked on it. So I just connected up a little battery, and I've got nothing at the moment, so I'm going to take off this throttle gear here and see if you have to have the key on for all the lights and everything to work. At the moment there's nothing working, and until I get that key off and find out whether there's power going to it or not, I don't think we're going to get anywhere. So probably that's the first thing I'll do. And then I got like 3 jobs going here. I got the cleanup inside the stern there. Now I've started on the wiring, and I was also working on the boat lights, so on the actual trailer lights, should I say, so as to make it legal to tow. So I got 3 jobs on the go here, and I'm not really making much progress with any of them. So it looks like this is the original oar for this boat as well. This was on the back plate. Yeah, there's the name there, but you can't read it. But I bet that's an original from when it was new. That's always nice to see as well. So there's the mess in there. It looks worse than it actually is. The wood on the transom looks pretty good. Hopefully that will be salvageable and I can use that again. So now we've got the trim up. So this is just a floorboard. There's a little bit of a soft area over there, but it's nothing major. But I might even put new ply down. I do like the way the seat mountings go here. See if I can do something similar to that when I put the seats back in. I'm not sure whether these were back-to-back seats. They actually look like probably they were not, but I don't know for sure. If anybody knows, Duracraft 65. We'll see. Pulling up the floor, found the actual ply is pretty good, but as you can see, mice have been in and just destroyed all the flotation in it. So all that's going to have to be thrown away. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I suppose when I saw all that in the stern, I should have known that that was going to be the problem. That ply, actually, I might keep that for a season. Because I'd like to get this thing in the water now, this year. So this is what the mice have done. Turned all that into popcorn. What a mess. The paint is taken a bit of a hammering from all the mice down here. So I'm going to jet wash this off tomorrow, and then I'm going to etch prime it just to give it some protection. It's not a real problem, it's only the paint, but and that's in the stern there. The paint's just come off the wood. It looks worse than it actually is, just dirty. Okay, so I'm taking this this side molding off, and that's what we got in behind. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So as you can see, taking the control cables out, this was like a cardboard sleeve that was behind the trim, and of course when I started to cut it off, there's mice nests in there again. So we'll use some plastic water pipe instead, make a bit of a better job. Why they'd use cardboard tubing, I do not know, on a boat where there's all moisture, but I guess that's what they did back in the 60s. Here we are again, up with the boat. I put in quite a bit of water inside this morning, and there wasn't any leaks. There's a little, they'd welded up a rivet. Why anybody welds rivets, I don't know, but they welded a rivet and they obviously couldn't stop leaking, or didn't try too hard, and so they welded up this rivet, a couple of rivets in actual fact, and one of them's leaking, so I'll have to do that. I'd like to grind all the weld out and redo it, but maybe that's next year's job. So I cleaned it out in there. We didn't have any major leaks, I say, only on that welded rivet, and it's only a little tiny one anyway. So now I think we're going to try the windscreen, see if that will fit. So 2 screws there with this bracket like this. This is on the other side, but that's how it goes. And then there's 1 screw there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 screws. No, maybe 9. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 screws. So there's 11 screws. But actually it's pretty easy. Now this bar here has got nuts underneath, so the screws have got nuts. So now I'm going to have to take this trim off, because I have to weld this crack across here. Actually, it hasn't gone all the way, so what I might do is stop drill that right now before I do any more work on it, so I just can't go any further. Okay, so as you can see, I just stop drilled this this crack for now until I get to it. I'm not quite sure whether I'll weld it or whether I might put a plate on it. I'm not a real expert at welding aluminium. Give me some steel, I have no problem. But when it's thin aluminium like this, you need somebody that knows what they're doing. Well, this one's slightly higher, about 2 inches higher than the original. You know, we'll make it work. It's in pretty good shape. Just needs a little bit of a buff up here and there, but yeah, that's going to be the screen we're going to put on it. Yeah, we're very lucky to get that. I put the seal back on the windscreen, then I realized that I needed it out here as a pattern because this windscreen is not from this boat. The windscreen that was on here was cracked badly and bits missing, so we got this other one, which is the same size pretty much, but the holes are in different places. So now I've got to mark out where the new holes have got to go. So I think what I'll do is I'll just put a screw in here, keep it in place. Some of these boat windscreens are held in place very easily, and some are awkward. This one's pretty straightforward, but yeah, I just have to re-drill the holes, which is no big deal. Just got to fill the old holes, and we've got a nice mark here, dirty mark, which helps to see where the holes are got to be. So I finally got the windscreen on. That was quite a job actually, lining everything up and making sure that it was square. But it looks pretty good now, and I think it'll do just fine. The next job I wanted to tackle was the steering. The actual steering wheel was really crooked. The shaft coming out through the dash was not put in correctly, and all the cables were wrong underneath. So I wanted to address that first, and there was a lot of play in the shaft as well. The bearings were worn out. So this is how I went about that. So the top of the steering head here, the shaft comes up through here, of course. And this is the bearings, which is a plastic, and they're worn on the inside, and it's a 3/4 inch internal diameter. So I just got these bronze bushings from the local hardware store. Now they won't go in because there's you probably can't quite see it, but there's these all the way around. You see, there's a load of those. So of course, obviously in the plastic, you've got those there as well. See? So with this bronze bushing, there aren't any, so I'll either resize it, make it smaller, or I'll cut those slots in. I'm not sure yet what I'll do. So this was the bushings that came out of the steering on the Duracraft. So what I'm intending to do, obviously I don't think you can get these anymore anyway, because the outside diameter is good. The inside diameter is worn over. It's probably the originals from 1965, so this is all worn in here. So what I did, I went and I got these bronze bushings here, and I marked them up so that, because all this plastic has got slots. They have slots all the way around like this. So what I have to do is I have to cut a slot in the bronze down here all the way around for it to fit in. The internal diameter is perfect, which is 3/4 of an inch, I think it was. And the external will work if I put those slots in. So that's what I've got to do. So I've got a Dremel, and obviously got the vise, and I'm going to Dremel a little slot in them first. In fact, I better mark them, I think. That's probably what I'll do next. So what I do is I just make a little cut with this Dremel wheel. And then I got another little tool, which is this one here, which is like a diamond cut thing. And I sort of I sort of fumble my way through it just to get those slots in there. This was a little time consuming, but I could see an alternative. I started cutting the slots before widening with the diamond tool. It worked pretty good though. Here I am doing the final widening of the slots. It was a little bit of trial and error. I had to keep taking it back to the boat and checking. But eventually we got there. Okay, so let's see if that'll fit in now. I'm going to center up the... there you go. There it's gone. A little bit of persuasion. Perfect. There we go. Now we've got a perfectly serviceable... Finally, that's going to make a huge difference, because the steering, there was so much play in it before. This is going to be nice. So after I put those bushings in, the steering now is nicely tight and absolutely no play in it whatsoever. So that is gorgeous. I do like that. That was a necessary job. Just took me 15 minutes to get this battery out of the sailboat, because I didn't want to go buy a new one. So I've got this main cable through a cutoff just in case we have any issues, which I'm sure we won't. It's pretty basic and straightforward. We've got a black lead here instead of the red one, because I couldn't get a red lead this morning, so we just put a black one on. So I'll have to put some red heat shrink on there later so that I don't forget. And then now we're going to connect this up and see the fireworks. I don't see any fireworks. That's a good sign. That's because it's turned off. Now it's turned on, and we don't have any flames, so that's good. Right, let's see what does and doesn't work here. So now we have power running through here into the motor and to the ignition key at the front. So what I've done, I've strapped the battery down on the starboard side. I was going to put it in the middle just to even up the weight, but because it's a pretty heavy battery. But in the end I decided to put it on the starboard side, because I want to put the bilge pump in the low point there, and I put the fuel pump on the port side. So when that one's full up, it'll be pretty much similar to weight to the battery, I'm guessing. That's 6.5 gallon or 6 gallon fuel tank. So at the moment, this is what we've got at the back of the dash here. The two switches there, one is for the nav lights, obviously original, and the other one is for the spotlight. And this button down here is going to be for the horn, because the horn button was, parts of it were missing, so I just got this horn button push to, I say push transmit, I got that wrong. Push to sound the horn, just to activate the switch. And then this distribution box here, I'm going to get rid of that, even though it works, but I'm going to fuse everything in future. So I'm going to have a main wire coming in, and then we'll put this fuse box here in, just so that all the lights and the horn and that have got a fuse connection, which we haven't got at the moment. Like I mentioned earlier, I lost a lot of photos of the boat before we started the restoration. Diane spent hours removing the seat mounting from the original floor. We measured everything so we could replicate it in the new floor. But anyway, here's what we did. So Diane's done the sealing of this. We used some clear lacquer around the edges. And tomorrow we'll come in and give this another coat. We've done one on the top and the bottom. Then we'll be able to put it in here. I got the compressor tank in the front there for the horns. I've just got to wire that. The horns have gone back on. They're solid now. They're actually put in place properly. The lights are good. We've got a new hose for the fuel tank. So we're nearly ready to go with this. So we bought these back-to-back seats a while ago, and the bases on them were 10 inches. And that was a little bit too high for the little boat that we have. And the seats were sitting up a bit too much. So I endeavored to cut these off, these pieces. So we cut off 3.5 inches. That brought them down to 6.5 inches, which made quite a difference to the way that they sit in the boat now. Probably could have come down another inch maybe, but the next cutout in here was 1.5 inches, and I didn't really want to take 1.5 inches off, so we just compromised and put them just at the 6.5 inches. So this is how they look in the boat. Not actually bolted in place yet, but that's where they're going to go. They could do with being just a little bit lower, but like I said, but I think they're going to be fine there. I'm not going to cut off another inch. It's not going to make that much difference. And they do open up into the sun lounger. So the next thing I've got to do is drill the floor to put the actual floor down properly, because at the moment the floor is only just resting in there as well. Everything's just resting to make sure it'll all fit. And then so I've got to screw that down, and then the seats are very easy to screw onto the ply. And really by the end of today we should have all this done. The plan today is to try and get the motor started here. I put new cables on for the batteries. I'm just going to take a battery out of another boat, and I know it's got compression, and I know it turns over. I haven't checked to see if there's a spark, because I couldn't turn the engine over fast enough, and I know the drive works as well, so hopefully everything should be good on it. But it's in pretty good order. The paint's faded on the cover, of course, but so there it is. I did clean up the worst of it earlier, and I've got some new hose to put on here as well, because the hose is totally shot. I didn't take a picture before I cleaned it out, but this was just full of mice nests. It was keeping it very nice and warm in there. What I'll do now is I'll just pull the spark plugs and make sure we got some spark here. That's the bottom, That's the top. I don't think it makes any difference on these. But we'll put them there anyway. Plugs look pretty new, so whether this was worked on before I got it, I'm not really sure. Don't know too much about this engine at all. I think these hoses will work now just to run it. Looks in pretty good shape though. Compression is there, so all we got to do is clean out the carb and see if it'll start. Have to get in the boat to do this because all the controls are at the front. Right, here we go. Any water turning? Any water coming out that hole? Good that we got a spark, we got compression, it started easy, it ran well. The only problem we got is we don't have any water. Dry as a bone. It became obvious there was no water being pumped by the impeller, so what we had to do was remove the hose on the top of the engine and pour some water in, prime it, and then it pumped fine. After many more hours of working on the boat and finishing it off, we actually took it to the lake and put it in the water. Well, we finally got it out on the water, and after a bit of a problem starting it, we used the little tiny trolling motor, not powerful enough, but the engine's running fine, the boat's handling fine, beautiful day, Dan's looking after the dog.